Hey everyone, Ronnie Daniels here. It's May 21st. Hadn't made a video in a while, and I see I keep getting new subscribers, so just want to make a quick video. I'm not going to be going in a hive in this video, but I'm going to try to make another video here in a few minutes, so I don't know how to edit and splice them together. So if you don't want to hear me talking, you can just skip this video and look for the other video where I'm going to actually go into a little nuke and see what's going on in there. But I'm going to give you an update on how things have been going. First of all, it's very dry here, very dry, and they're expecting rain today, which will be good. I've noticed that the activity in the hives has slowed down due to the drought that we have going now. And if you can, I'll spin you around, you can look at the grass here and see it's like it's dying. And while I've got you here, I'll kind of give you an update on some of the surprises that bees will give us when we're working with them. You know, if you guys recall, in one of my earlier videos this year, I was going to try to prevent swarming. I came out of winter with only 4 or 5 hives and started doing splits in March because the bees were starting to get real active. The weather was a little warmer. They were starting to get active, and I actually went in a hive in March, in early March, March 4th, had a bunch of swarm cells. So that was my first split that I made, and I started doing splits after that. You know, I'm not as knowledgeable as a lot of beekeepers you see on YouTube. This is about my 5th or 6th year beekeeping, and I like playing with them. You know, honey's just kind of a byproduct for me of playing with them, and I sell it and give away a lot of honey, but I just like playing with them, and they're just fun. And every year something new happens, something different that just amazes me. And y'all have probably heard me say this before, that, you know, if you're a member of a beekeeping group on Facebook, be careful of the advice you get on there. I see a lot of people are knowledgeable and they know what they're talking about, but some people who really aren't knowledgeable will give advice as if they're an authority on it when they really have no actual clue. And if you read it, it looks convincing that they know what they're talking about, but they're giving bad advice. So my suggestion to you, and I've given this suggestion before, is if you looking for advice on Facebook from a beekeeping group, be careful of the advice you get. You know, and beekeepers all have different opinions about the way to do things, and some have heard something that's maybe a beekeeping myth or something, and they think it's the gospel, when in fact it probably is not. So best way to learn all this is get out here and play with them. You know, for me, every year, like I said, I learn something new, and have good and bad things happen every year. This year, my goal was, hey, I'm going to make the most honey I've ever made. You know, I'm going to get serious about it. Since last year I neglected the bees and I got what I paid for. I'm going to make a bunch of splits. I'm going to keep them from swarming, and I'm going to make a lot of honey. Well, I had one swarm. Apparently I've had more swarm that I didn't know about, because a lot of the colonies that I went in early on had queens. Well, just the other day I went in some of them and they do not have signs of a laying queen, and so that tells me something happened. Maybe they swarmed and I didn't see the swarm, I wasn't around when it happened, and then when they swarm and you see there's no signs of a queen in there, for me, you know, I've learned a hard lesson. Don't just rush out and buy a queen. A lot of people get queens killed that way. So for me, since I play with bees and have the time, I usually will give it a little bit of time if I see there's no signs of a queen. And if there's no signs of a queen, you know, if you've got the time to do it and you've got the resources, the best way that I found is to put a frame of eggs in there. Still a frame of eggs from another colony, shake the bees off of it, and stick it in there and take a Sharpie and write on the top of it the date that you put it in there. Well, go back and look in a few days, and if you see them building a queen cell on the side from one of those, like an emergency cell from an egg, you'll know they were a queenless. If they don't, that tells you there's a queen in there. And if you know now that there's a queen in there, you still got to monitor it, because I have seen times where a queen didn't get mated, or she was a dud or something, and they'll just continue on until you wind up with a laying worker condition, which is the, you know, bad news and detrimental. But anyway, I just want to make this quick video to give you a little update that my so-called best year of honey turns out to throw me some surprises, and that's the way it is every year. Some good things happen and some bad things happen. Before I go, and I know I've said this on some videos before, the one thing I wanted to tell you that'd probably be a really good idea to do if you're new to beekeeping, try to start out with more than one colony. Because if you don't, unless you've got a beekeeper nearby, if something goes wrong with that one colony that you have no way of giving it the resources from another colony to help save it. And I know beekeeping equipment is expensive, but try to have some extra stuff on standby. Try to get you if you're going to do a 10 frame colony, try to have a nuke to go with it, so that you can make a nuke and have it as on standby to get some resources. So you can swap back and forth. If you need to steal eggs from one colony to another, you can do it. But if you've just got one, unless you've got a beekeeper friend that's willing to help you out a little bit, you could wind up in a situation where your bees don't make it. So that's something I would say is very important. The other thing about nukes is they're fun to play with. You know, they're usually, if the weather condition is good, when the population of bees is lower, I've found that a lot of times they're a little more docile because they don't have that big those big numbers of chances of more bees to be aggressive. So you can typically, they're a little more gentle a lot of times. It of course depends on the time of the year. And it's easy to get into. You don't have to move a bunch of supers. You can just go in there and pull out a couple of frames and watch and learn and look at the frames and look at the eggs and all the resources that are in there and see how they're doing. So they're a good learning tool, a nuke is, for a beginning beekeeper. So I'm going to end this video now, and then I'm going to go look at a nuke that I started, and I'll explain to you about that nuke when we get to it on the next video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.